Initiating moisture protocol.
Hello there. I just woke up. Welcome to the early morning moist meter brought to you by early mornings. Today, I'd like to talk about a movie I saw last night, as is tradition on the moist meter. It's called Annihilation. It's a brand new movie. I went into this movie knowing absolutely nothing about it. I hadn't even seen a single trailer. I just knew it was going to be a pretty popular movie, and I couldn't be more incredibly surprised by how good it turned out. I didn't know it was by the same guy who directed Ex Machina, which I fucking loved. I didn't know it was based on books. You could have told me it was based on fucking Serial, I wouldn't have cared. And I think the knowing absolutely nothing about this really helped me enjoy the movie overall, because I know a lot of people were disappointed by how far it deviated from the book, but since I didn't read the book, I didn't have that letdown. I might actually read the book now because this movie was so fucking good, and I haven't read a book cover to cover since The Outsiders in 6th grade, but who knows? Maybe this is the movie that gets me into reading and jerking off to adult novels now. But anyway, this movie's a thought-provoking one, and it's not just an artsy, smell-your-own-fart kind of movie that just challenges you to think and doesn't really have any substance besides just making you think. Kind of like Mother, where all you do is be bored throughout most of the movie until the end, and then you're left confused and thinking about it. This movie has a lot of substance to it, so even if you want to ignore all the thought-provoking elements of it, you'll still enjoy the movie. Whereas in Mother, I just thought it was extremely boring, and you're just inundated with close-up shots of Jennifer Lawrence's face like you're fucking looking at her through a pirate's spyglass. This movie has a whole lot more to offer than just thought-provoking stuff if you choose to ignore it and don't want to really think about it. The movie visually is probably one of the best I've ever seen. It's so incredibly appealing. It's such a surreal-looking movie. I don't want to spoil anything about it because I think knowing nothing about it is a huge benefit when seeing this. But the visuals they are able to capture here are nothing shy of awe-inspiring. It's a sci-fi movie. It's based around the premise where Natalie Portman's husband goes into a mysterious place called the Shimmer where a lot of crazy shit's going down. And that's all I really want to give away about it. Inside the Shimmer, it's just ranging from beautiful to Lovecraftian horror. It's just so great, and it's just I really can't gush about the visuals enough. You really have to see them to believe them. Another thing that I was blown away by is the score. This movie has one of the best scores I think I've ever heard. Blade Runner being my favorite movie score ever, this one's close up in that area. It's so good, especially at the end. The ending, towards the end, it's not like the actual ending, but right towards the end, they play something called The Alien. That was just jaw-dropping. And the ending track, well, not the very end, but a track towards the end of the movie, probably the biggest part of the end of the movie, had a track called The Alien, and that paired with the visuals led to an experience where it made me question, am I even on fucking Earth anymore? It made me think maybe the cashier had replaced my popcorn with shrooms that looked like popcorn. It was so loud and it fit so well and it was so unique sounding. It was just an unbelievable ending. I'm not talking about the very end. In fact, I think the very end of the movie was actually a bit weak. Not that it was bad or anything. It was just really a generic kind of ending that you'd expect from pretty much every sci-fi movie. I really didn't expect Annihilation to end on a note like that. It's not bad or anything. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the ending. It just felt weak in comparison to everything that came before it. It didn't really wrap it up as well as I think it should have, but it was still just totally fine. Now, the movie will challenge you to think, is the bad thing even bad? What makes it bad? Is just existing bad? Because that's fundamentally what the bad thing boils down to. It just wants to exist, but at the cost of humans. Then it also always ties everything back to the idea of annihilation, how humans will constantly seek out self-destruction, and that theme is woven throughout pretty much every part of this movie, which I really respect, and it really fits well into everything in this movie. I think the parts that challenge you to think were really well done. It's ambiguous enough where you can ignore shit like that and still have a great movie left behind. It's just a really fun movie that a lot of people will walk away with a different interpretation of if they choose to even think about it that hard. You don't have to. You can still enjoy this as just a sci-fi movie without thinking hard at all. Now, let's get to the cold water here. Let's dump some of this hot semen on you. What I didn't like a lot of the dialogue was straight up ass, just total dirty anus. I don't know how the dialogue was so bad at parts. Not that it's the worst dialogue I've ever heard. It's not, the room level or anything, but it was just not good dialogue in a lot of parts of this movie, which is a shame. And a couple of the characters were just totally not good at all. If you're watching this characters from Annihilation that I didn't like you, and I hope you know that. I'm not blaming you, but I didn't like you. There's also something a lot of people are bringing up. It involves sex scenes that were for some reason spliced at random points in this movie. I know why they're there, and I'll get to that in just a second. I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but throughout a lot of this movie, when things are going really well in the shimmer, not well plot-wise, but well for the audience, where it's fucking cool to watch all this shit going on in the shimmer, everything's just all over the place and super fucking cool, it'll hard cut to some sex scenes a couple times throughout the movie that just seemingly come out of nowhere and really do play no role in the movie on the surface. They're really there for symbolism, but even still, it's just jarring to have this hard cut that makes it feel like Annihilation was filmed on an old porn VHS and they accidentally left a few of the scenes in. It's silly. It really is, and I can totally understand why people don't like that. I didn't like it either, but I do get why it's there, because it all ties back to the title of the film, and it does make sense from that perspective, but that's reaching. It's really not worth it to keep them in there. They could have replaced that with something that's a little less fucking dumb, in all honesty. So I totally get that, and I will put that as a negative thing here, because it is. It really fucks up a bit of the pacing when they're in the shimmer, because out of nowhere, oh, this is super cool. Oh, and there she's riding a cock again. Yeah, I mean, come on. You can do something better than that to still get the symbolism across. But anyway, those are really my only big complaints about the movie. I think this movie is a must-see for people who like sci-fi movies or movies that will challenge you to think. I'm giving this movie a 90% on the moist meter. I would have given it a 95% if not for those complaints I mentioned. They do take away from the movie quite a bit, but it is a fucking fantastic movie. An absolutely remarkable movie. One I didn't expect at all, and I'm super pleased with how it turned out. Really, really good. I would highly encourage pretty much anyone out there to watch this movie. It's more than just a sci-fi movie and a thought-provoking movie. There's some action here with guns pumping out lead, bullets flying, nutsacks exploding. There's quite a bit of gore in this movie. People's fucking necks and mouths getting ripped out by incredible-looking creatures. That's a fucking bear that looks like it'd been genetically altered by Frankenstein. There's some beautiful environments that I've never seen in any other movie like this. Beautiful creature design as well. 1 second you have this horrifying looking crocodile alligator thing, shark, and the next minute you find some Pokemon in the forest. It's just great. I really can't recommend this movie enough. It's a fucking great movie. That's it. See ya.